of bike riding. Okay? You're going to get some good days, you're going to get some less than good. Alright? So, what's that saying about fishing? Worst day fishing is a little better than the best day working. Alright? Let's get my job. Anyway, alright guys, we are really going to try to stay on schedule. Meaning be out of this parking lot by 9 a.m. It's 45 minutes hence. Alright? Plan accordingly. You checked in. I'm pretty sure Shelly told you, or Sarah, whoever, that before you came here, you should basically be ready to go. Meaning your gears in the trailer. Any car that is staying here has been moved to the east end of the lot. Your bike is ready to go. All you pretty much have to do is throw on your shoes and dump your other shoes wherever. So that's really our goal here. And after I'm done here, we're going to take a quick photo. Andy's going to take a group shot of us, and then we will proceed down the parking lot, group up, and simply peel out as if everybody's on the bike. There are, those of you who actually read the email saw that. If you're not here on time, you're getting sad. So there's some people missing. They show up at 9:01, they're going to be jumping in the vehicle and catching up with us. We don't have the luxury of delay today. All right? This stuff you see here this morning, this is not the storm. This is just really thick, wet air that's being compressed over this bridge and misting. Gary mentioned that east end of the valley, somebody else mentioned it, is still fairly dry. Okay, it just does not hit down here. I'm hoping the backside is going to be pretty dry too. But we are going to get wet at some point this afternoon, this evening. Rain is coming, however sporadic it may be, but prepare for it. Okay, keep that in the back of your mind. I'm going to go down my list of stuff. Anybody has something to add? You can chime in quickly. All right. First of all, this ride doesn't happen like much of our program without the volunteers. Volunteers, please raise your hands. Thank you guys. Your dedication is no less important than the riders. So you guys are awesome. You guys, most of these volunteers have been here year after year. They're a wonderful resource. You can count them. They know what to do, where to be. So if there's something you need, a volunteer can help you out. A lot of them will have radios, courtesy of Jim in Southern California Edison. So we can help you out and get whatever you need. Weather today. We checked it first thing this morning. We know that we're going to have some. It's coming in later. It's on the west side. I've already got some reports from people I know on the west side out Ventura. It's pretty ugly. So it's going to catch up to us. My hope is that the desert oftentimes sucks the moisture out of the atmosphere. Maybe it won't be quite so bad down there in Barstow. But you guys, again, those of you who read the email knew you were supposed to bring wet weather gear. It looks like most of you did, so that's good. What does that mean, really? My main concern of weather like this is riding safely. You guys are really going to have to, especially those of us on skinny tires, slicks, going into corners, it has to be done much more gingerly than normal. And that's not just even out here. That's specific. Or sorry, it's not just even going down the backside. It's even some of these corners up around here. Where there's a little bit of paint or a little bit of new tar on the ground. It's going to be really slippery. So extra cautious going down the backside today. Get on your brakes early. Do not get up ahead of steam. If it dries up, no problem. Let it rip. But still, be safe. Okay. Helmets have to be worn at all times. Going down hills, remember, those of you who are, whatever, just you brake before you go into your turn, okay? Don't wait till the last second, like Kelly did a couple years ago and almost went over the guardrail because she just locked him up and went fishtailing into the turn. All right, so brake first. And again, just like driving down, pump your brakes if you can. Don't blaze those brake pads or overheat your rotors if you got discs, okay? So just on and off the brakes. Keep your speed down. No alcohol while riding. I'm sorry. There is one exception depending on where we stop the last day before we regroup. But if you do that, please do it in moderation. We'll talk about that at that time. Today might be a good day to learn this or to practice it. Riding the pace line doesn't have to be a big pace line. Just ride with somebody else. You guys can swap wheels and take turns, riding behind that person in their draft. that'll behoove you. It'll behoove you to do that because your energy will be saved. All right. If you haven't ridden a lot of pace lines or in a draft, just leave extra room. If you're not experienced with it, leave at least a wheel length, a wheel diameter between you and the bike in front of you, maybe even a little bit more. But they're very effective, and they'll definitely be effective tomorrow, I'm sure. Today's ride, we do have narrow shoulders. There's not a lot of bike lanes, so to speak. Around the valley here, even down the backside, all the way down to, basically, ostensibly all the way to Barstow. There's not a lot of bike lanes. So the roads can be narrow, just nice long, wide open stretches, so it's not that big a deal. But as Kathy so aptly put it in her recent article, you know, you guys really need to obey the traffic laws, ride respectfully. We get disrespectful drivers, but I've seen a lot of disrespectful cyclists in my day. Okay, so when you guys are riding, you know, if there's traffic coming behind you, get in a single file line. Don't sit 2 or 3 abreast. That's just not cool. And you can just for trouble, to be honest with you. So and always obey all traffic laws. Okay, if there's nobody around and it's a 4-way stop, and you see anybody coming, I don't care if you're running stuff. That's fine. But if there's another vehicle involved, respect the law. I don't. All right, directions. Maps, you guys have been given maps today. We do have, this year, marking the turns, these route arrows. Okay, these will be on the ground, approaching the turns. You may not be able to put them down in Barstow, because you can't really put them down when the ground's wet. But these guys put out a few of these last night for the first return. It's not really a big deal, because you guys will be in a group, you'll know where to go. But this is something you can start looking for. Each turn we mark with about 2, 3, 4 of these things throughout the ride. And they'll be on pavement, basically. So when you ride, once you're looking down, looking forward, you're going to see them, indicating your next turn. It doesn't mean you forego the cue sheets or the turn mile posts on the map. Keep those in mind. Right? Don't just look for these. Somebody may come along and peel these things off. They may wear off. If it's wet, they may just come off. Who knows? So certainly know when you have something approaching. That's why it's good to kind of keep that cue sheet handy. All right. But that's what you're going to look for approaching the turns. So if you see those, you know you're changing direction somewhere. Every day you're going to check out and check in with one of the volunteers, somebody who has a radio basically. They are all going to have a list of your names with your rider number. Your rider number, I hope, is facing to the right on your bike, because they're going to be on the shoulder of the road as you go by. That's how they're going to keep tabs on it. If you didn't put it on correctly today, no biggie, but we'll switch it around tonight. Okay? And always check in when you get to the campsite for the night, whether it's the park, the fairgrounds, whatever. Just check in with somebody so we know you got it. There's somebody who has seen you and can check you off. All right? Riding hours, basically after breakfast to sunset. Okay, we want you off the road by dusk. That's just how it is. So we're not going to risk that. If you bonk, you're just going slow, you have mechanical issues, whatever, and you can't make it to camp by sunset, then so be it. You rode what you could, and we'll hauling you off the road at that point. Let's see, we will be leaving, well, we'll get to that later. If you're a leisurely paced rider, you should try to make a habit to kind of get out of camp early, perhaps than some of the less leisurely paced riders. Because what happens if you have a leisurely departure and you're a leisurely paced rider, sometimes you end up a little too leisure. All right. Lunch and break stop. Basically, our lunch and break stops will wait for the last rider. So if you're super fast.
Can we thank Steve for fixing breakfast for us?
Steve, thank you.
Steve gets those breakfasts he orders from Cisco, so we get stuff at wholesale prices. And he's very, very kind to us and lets us use his refrigerator, freezer, and all the other things.
Thank you.
Delivery yesterday?
I did.
All right. Okay. Let's see. Lunch and break stops. Break stops usually about a quarter of the way through the ride. Depends on the day, but about a quarter of the way. Lunch will be about halfway through the day. Afternoon break will be about 3/4 of the way, and so on and so forth. That does vary a little bit. So just keep that in mind. The break stop and the lunch will wait for the last person. So if there's a leisurely paced rider who hasn't quite gotten to the break stop, and you're a fast-paced rider, you've long since left lunch, the brake stop may not be there at that sort of 3/4 mark, just so you know. There will be vehicles out in the road who have water, who still have camera and gels and whatever else you might need, but won't necessarily have the motorhome, okay? The motorhome, the brake stop is the RV driven by Sue and Susie. Where are you guys? Here, there's Sue. So, the big RV, big 30-footer out there, that's the brake stop.
And we should have coffee and hot chocolate and stuff for you today. And at lunch, the soup of the day is clam chowder. Homemade clam chowder.
Okay, all right. Okay, so when if possible, you guys, we have a lot of people. These RVs only have so big of a holding tank. If you can, use the natural facilities. But if you can, be discreet. Okay, just so you know. Now, if you have to use the ones in there, that's fine. It's not a big deal. But just keep that in mind. There will be sag and support vehicles, all right? Out there, we have probably half a dozen or so, 8 vehicles that are going to be out there roaming, and they're there. If you need to get sag, meaning a lift forward, if they can't do it, they'll certainly communicate with somebody that can. They can come back and get you and your bike moving forward. Okay. If you, for whatever reason you balk, if you're not having a good day, don't hesitate to flag one of those down. Like I said, most vehicles will have a radio. We stay in contact with each other. So it's easy to get somebody to come back if need be. Most vehicles have basic first aid kits, just simple first aid kits. But we will forward, if we can, we will take you to whatever local hospital is necessary if that becomes necessary. Let's just hope that doesn't. If you're cautious, I don't think that's going to be an issue. If you do have to stop a vehicle, just do me a favor. This is one of our water ski signals that we use. Divers will do this, whatever. But it's easy for a vehicle who's passing you to see this, as opposed to just kind of waving. That could just be high. But if we see you do this in our rearview mirror, and do it for a while, because sometimes it takes us a moment or two to look in our mirror and see you behind us. That tells us you need assistance, and the vehicle will pull over. Okay.
And remember, we may not be able to stop immediately. So if we may have to go a quarter mile up the road before we can safely stop a vehicle. So if we don't just immediately pull over, it's not that we're ignoring you. Normally, in my case, I'll try and flash my brakes a couple of times, some sort of acknowledgement. But we do try and watch out for you.
Yeah. All right. Those vehicles will have the basic stuff, like extra water, some snacks. If you throw something, a day pack or a piece of clothing in one of these vehicles, just know which one you threw it in, because there's, like I said, there's half a dozen, 8 of them out there, and it's up to you to remember where you put it. And know that you're not necessarily going to see that vehicle again anytime soon. You might drop something off, hoping you can pick it up later. It's totally a crapshoot. The very sag vehicles, they have duties, and they're moving around, they got stuff to take care of, so just keep that in mind. That's all I can tell you. Bike repair, man, I couldn't tell you how many times and how many emails I told you guys to bring bikes that are in good shape. All right. So if your bike has problems, we will try our best to do basic bike repair. Bob's sort of our de facto mechanic. I'm a mechanic to a degree, but we really can't do it too much. It's just basic stuff. Hopefully everybody here knows how to change their own flat by now. If not, Kim will give them a clinic. And Bobby in. So, anyway, so hopefully you took that to heart. Okay. The gear trailer, Sarah's going to tow the gear trailer where all your bags are going. That'll go to lunch, where it will be for a short while during the day, and then it's going to go forward to the camp that night. Again, you may or may not see it depending on your pace. So whatever goes in that gear trailer, I would basically get in the habit of simply writing off. You're not going to see that again. There's something specific you need during the day. You're going to have to try to put it in the sag vehicle. If you know you're going to need it at lunch, then give it to the lunch vehicle, the RV, because they'll be there. Okay. Setting up camp, we have different places tonight. We're going to Barstow. We're at a different park. It's a big, wide open park. There's lots of room to spread out tents. So keep that in mind, especially if you are a snorer. Distance between tents is good. Campground etiquette, we try. Man, you guys are going to sleep early. I don't know what time you go to bed at home, but on this ride you could be bonking pretty much by 9 o'clock, I think, at night. A few of you might stay up later. That's fine. Jim brought some firewood for a fire in Diaz. So, anyways, just respect that quiet time. Okay. It's pretty much from about 9 to 6. Most people get up around 6. So, where was I? Appetizers. So why at 6 a.m.? Because Diane's really great at having breakfast ready by 7. Usually at the latest, probably well before that sometimes. Just depends.
Usually everybody's gone by 7.
Yeah. So it just depends on the day, but she'll be up and having that stuff ready for you. So if you want to get up at 6 a.m., that's fine. Again, remember, I don't want you hitting the road before there's some light in the sky. All right, that's important. Dinner will be ready. So breakfast at 6 or 7, dinner at 6 p.m. Appetizers, Diane usually get some appetizers out 3:30 to 4. Maybe some protein shakes or smoothies or something like that.
Protein shakes when you come in.
Yeah, when you come in, a little protein rebuild there. Alcohol, not necessarily permitted at some of the places we go. So if you are, we have cups for you to pour it in. Okay, so we don't want you walking around with beer cans, beer bottles, or whatever else. What you do in your tent? You got your flask and you're in your tent. That's fine. That's your space. Go ahead. That aside. But with the beer that we have and wine that we have, please put it in glasses. All right. Bike security, not really a big deal. I don't really know about this camp. The park tonight where we're at. Sarah will find out more when she gets there where the bikes will go. Some people literally just strap them to their tent because it's a public park. It's open to the public. They can come walking through there. So we never had any problems yet, but why risk it? So if you have a lot, that's cool too. We have the ability to store them somewhere at different locations. We will at the fairgrounds, at Diaz Lake. We kind of have our own little zones there, so it's not a big deal and not necessarily it's not really an issue. But just keep that in mind. Facilities, they vary from place to place. Tonight, our location tonight's different because you guys are a lot of rider surveys asked for a new location in Barstow, so you got it. It's a bigger park, but lesser facility, for lack of a better word. Does not have a indoor, there's no building for us to go hunker down in. There is not a shower facility. Bob's going to, if weather permits, he's going to set up the portable showers, okay? They're just portable showers that most of you know from Diaz. We will try to do it. We don't know. We're getting 40 knot gusts. That may not happen, but unless you don't like to pull the mash.
We got one last year, didn't we?
2 years ago.
Yep, that happened.
Who was in there?
2 years ago.
But the rest of the places, there are hot showers, restrooms, etc. So there are restrooms here tonight, so that's not an issue. And we've got the accessible one open, right?
Yeah, they're gonna.
We will do our introductions to a lot of us here, man. We got almost 40 riders and at least half that many volunteers. We can do our intros tonight in Barstow, weather permitting. We'll see. We have no idea what it's going to be like. So we'll just say who you are and why the hell you came. Okay? And so we'll get to know everybody then. All right. Before I jump into the map, anybody else got anything that I've missed? You veterans, ladies.
Because we know that you're going to have trouble out there going to the bathroom, probably. Anybody want the kids? If you need two, there's enough.
All right.
I don't need them, but what size are they?
Go ahead, Susie.
Just one thing about coming in to break and lunch, if you would check in with those people, because don't go past, if you forego it, please let us know, because we don't know.
Yeah, so if you're an animal, you blow by break stop or lunch, I don't necessarily advocate. Make sure that they see your number. So we stop and say, hi, I'm blowing by, this is who I am, adios. All right, yeah, good point, Susie.
I wanted to ask, I know that you said the volunteers were all committed to driving vehicles, but I wanted to ask, in case there was anybody that was riding and doesn't have a vehicle to drive, I've got a vehicle I would love someone to take with us along the way, because I go back to Santa Rosa. It's much easier to drive from Mammoth to Santa Rosa than to come back here to get a car. So if there's anybody who's uncommitted to driving but is going along, I would love it if you would talk to me. I was thinking I might try it today.
All right, so I don't know if there is anybody, but if we do, Don, we'll hook you up, man.